The simplest way to play book games is to simply hold, accumulate in whatever your capacity is, and simply hold and let the deflationary economics work in your favor over time.
I'm just scared we are late, but till then, maybe Davey, if you can do a small introduction about yourself and tell us how did you get into the NFT space, and then same Jeremy, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I don't often speak to a Twitter space that I'm not familiar with most people in the room. So I didn't come prepared with an introduction, but my name is Davey. I go by It's Davey. I've been in the crypto space since 2017 and NFTs for the last year or so. I got my start, really, I started to deep dive into VeeFriends last May, and I've been trading and collecting and flipping NFTs since then. Recently, I've started to transition from a collector to a creator, so I've been diving into NFT photography and that whole space. Super psyched on the outdoors. Based in the U.S. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm making noises. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries. You didn't cut me off. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Sure. I love this question. I don't know how to answer it. My name's Jeremy. I am a clown performance artist and live events Swiss Army knife turned community manager through NFTs and VeeFriends. And I got into NFTs because a friend of mine was watching Gary Vee at the time, and I had gotten him into crypto a couple of months earlier. And he said, "Have you seen this?" I said, "No." And when I saw VeeFriends, I saw the potential for characters, archetypes to iterate with each other in as many different ways as was needed to communicate as many different messages as was needed. So that felt very powerful to me. And thanks to the warmth of the community, I never left.
Awesome. Thank you for your introduction, guys. It's really nice to have you here. And the thing is, as this is being recorded, we'll be posting it as a podcast as well. So whoever can't make it later will get to know a little bit about what we spoke. So either Jeremy or Davey, would you let's start with something basics, right? Like what is VeeFriends? And why is it an important project in the NFT ecosystem? Anyone who wants to take this, and this is again just your opinion, okay? Like it doesn't have to be factual or anything. Just Jeremy, you wanna go for this?
Sure. I'm just switching to my Bluetooth, so hopefully there's only a brief interruption.
No problem.
VeeFriends is a Gary Vaynerchuk NFT project built around meaningful IP that Gary Vee wants to see more proliferated in culture. It's a slate of 268 characters designed by Gary Vee and his inner circle to be avatars, megaphones for different threads of thought and meaning that might not land on different psychographics and demographics through Gary Vee's voice. It's a way of splintering the subjective and individual voice of Gary Vee into relatable characters that can, I guess, adapt to the needs of the moment.
Very cool. And what about book games? Because that's something we'll be talking about a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I still haven't figured out the simplest way to explain book games, and that's probably an indication that it's not very simple. But in a basic sense, book games is a layer 2 NFT collection on Immutable X, which was a companion release to Gary's latest book, 12 and a half. The subtitle, Emotional Ingredients for Business Success, in which he outlines 13 emotional skills that are actually practical skills in business and relationships. So the book games correlates to those 13 attributes For example, empathy, gratitude, conviction, curiosity, optimism. There's 13 of those. And then there are 3 special characters that we don't know very much about, but will feature in the VeeFriends universe starting in like 2025, 2026. The 4 attributes of book games are, number 1, that they are played forever. It's not a mobile game or a desktop game, at least not right now. It's a strategy game, because the second attribute of book games is that they are burnable assets for other assets. And so in this moment, you can trade book game tokens for other physical or digital collectibles that Gary Vee has collected. And in the future, you'll be able to trade them for experiences and access within the Gary Vee and the VeeFriends ecosystem. And the third utility in book games is that it is also a Friends Pass, which is a raffle feature within the VeeFriends ecosystem, of which the first raffle is happening on April 5th, which provides a chance for book game holders to get access to the Series 2 Friends list, which is the second series of VeeFriends that is launching next month. Period.
Okay. I thought I was unmuted and I was going on. Anyway, this happens sometimes. So, you know what? I think this is a very clear definition of what you said. Davey, do you want to add anything from what Jeremy has said?
I don't have too much to add. No, Jeremy articulated it well.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people in the VeeFriends Discord are asking like when VCoin, and this is sort of the VeeFriends team's solution to that, and so it's kind of a different take on a currency of the ecosystem, and because it's on layer 2 immutable, there's no gas, and so it allows them to interact with the coin, as it were, in interesting ways, like we've seen so far with the exchange. You can burn these assets for different NFTs from Gary's collection, or we're coming up on a character burn where you'll be able to burn these tokens for new Series 2 characters.
Awesome. So guys, just before we move on to new questions, I just want to share. I just want to ask everyone to go and share this Twitter Spaces so more and more people can know that we are doing this, and more and more people can join. Please tag me. You can please tag Dave, please tag Jeremy, and that will be super cool. And we are doing this space because a lot of my NFT group peeps kept asking me the same question, right? Hey, explain book games. Hey, explain how do we get VeeFriends too? Because if you're out of the ecosystem, it becomes a little difficult to keep up with what's happening. But Jeremy and Davey have been in the ecosystem, and they know quite a lot. So that's why we got them here and asking them questions. So VeeFriends part 2 is coming up, right? So what's the difference between part 1 and part 2, and what is something that you're excited about? I'll give this to Davey.
Yeah, so we saw Series 1 launch May of last year, and it was 10,000 or so tokens, and the sale style was a Dutch auction. So tokens started at a highest price possible. For a lot of tokens, this was like 3 ETH or so, and then incrementally dropped down in price until they hit their floor. So for the cheapest tokens, that floor was 0.5 ETH. And so the barrier of entry was around that half an ETH or so. At the time, that was like $2,000 USD. We saw a sellout shortly after launch within a handful of days. And preceding that, the price of all these tokens went up quite fast. And so quickly people were priced out of VeeFriends. And so there was a lot of feedback from the community that they wanted to get into VeeFriends, but they didn't have 40,000 USD to invest, and so the solution was a Series 2 that would be much cheaper. And for months and months now, we've known that the price of these Series 2 would be under $1,000 USD. And my interpretation was this was a method of getting more people invested and interested in the project at a lower price point.
This podcast was possible because of our sponsors, Brave and Unstoppable Domains. More about them next. Crypto scams are like box of chocolates. You never know which one you're gonna get. Especially if you're using a crypto wallet, which is a browser extension. You run the risk of attacks like phishing scams, account spoofing, data leaks, and theft. The best way to avoid getting attacked is using Brave Wallet. Brave Wallet is the first secure crypto wallet built directly into a browser, so no extensions required. With Brave Wallet, you can buy, store, send, and swap assets. You can even manage your portfolio and NFTs all in one place. Whether you're new to crypto or a seasoned pro, it's time to switch to Brave Wallet. Download Brave at brave.com/web3withdhee and click the wallet icon to get started. You know what's the worst part about crypto? These long and complex wallet addresses. They can get so confusing. I know, you hate them too. What if I told you I replaced my long wallet address with dheerajshah.nft? Yeah, that's my name. All thanks to Unstoppable Domains. They're the #1 providers of NFT domains. With Unstoppable Domains, you don't have to worry about renewal fees because you get to keep your NFT domain forever. You can get an NFT domain as well, maybe a .crypto, .nft.x, or something else. Go to unstoppabledomains.com right now and get your NFTs for as low as $5. I think you guys are doing a great job at explanation. I find it very difficult to explain. I understand a lot of it, but it becomes difficult for me to explain. And let's talk about book games, right? It's like I'll just give you my perspective, right? Like Gary Vee launched a book, asked people to buy the book, and they could get one NFT. If you buy 12 books, you get one NFT. I bought 60 of them, and I have I think 5 NFTs, which is pretty cool, right? The NFTs are, last time I checked, they were 0.38 ETH. Maybe it's some different price now, but like these NFTs are quite interesting. You can redeem them to either get VCon tickets. You can redeem them to get different NFTs or physical items, as Jeremy was saying. But there's this phrase which Gary Vee keeps talking about, right? Like book games are forever, right? And we can only predict what that means. But what are book games right now, right? Like how can like a new person who has no exposure to the ecosystem, how can they get why should they buy book games, and what can they do right now with book game tokens? Anyone who wants to take this? Jeremy, you want to go?
Sure. Yeah, big questions. So let's talk about book games are forever just for a second. And I want to just contextualize it in the sense that, number one, VeeFriends is also forever. So anything attached to VeeFriends will need a long-term plan. When Gary is seen in this moment as someone who has a good success rate in picking projects, if it gets public that Gary has minted a project, a lot of people will flock. And yet he says, don't take the trades that I take. I'm buying for 3 to 7 year success. He's literally said that he doesn't judge a project's success until they've completed 3 years of business. He's spoken about VeeFriends, that what he's doing now in this first year is to ensure success in year 7, 8, and 9. And I think that should give some indication to why he created the Koala 2025 in book games. And he jokes about it in the Discord. He's like, stop asking me about this. I put a year on it. Give me a little bit of time. These things are designed to to have that long-term vision. But I think the other aspect of playing book games is forever is preparing the community that in the first quarter, during the national anthem of book games, before the game, we're going to have this highly demand-driving short-term opportunity in book games. So like your question is, if somebody gets into book games right now, what can they do? Well, the number one focus is on the most common tokens, because there's a raffle that will give each book game token a 27% chance of getting on the allow list for Series 2, where you can mint for that $1,000. If you don't have that allow list, then you'll have to participate in the public sale, where we expect gas to be equal to mint price, if not double, approaching like 1 ETH per mint. That's sort of my estimation. So I do think that like there's more concept than like practical games lined up in book games are forever. Gary Vee now taking on the mantle of the game master, making adjustments and adapting to the community and to the space in real time to keep book games fun and interesting. But so in the short term, we're seeing more common frames around that floor you mentioned, 0.38, 0.39. But in the middle tier of frame rarity, book game rarity, we're seeing like the start of stratification. I think the floor is like 0.47 or something. So almost a 0.1 difference, which is significant because for the first 2.5 months, it was basically all the same because nobody understood rarity, and still it's very misunderstood. I don't understand it either. The reason to buy book games is either to hope for the opportunity to get that access to Series 2, or to accumulate this non-fungible currency for the VeeFriends and Gary Vee ecosystem, or to accumulate this non-fungible currency to be able to sell it to somebody who will need that currency down the line once those burn events and strategy games are revealed over time. Because for now, everything is focused around frame rarity. And there are 3 types of rarity with book games. You have the character itself, the artwork. Then you have the background, which will be one of 5 spectacular designs. There's gold, bubblegum, diamond, lava, and hologram. And then the third element of rarity is the frame. It's a rectangular border around each artwork, and there are 15 of them. And they're distributed between 15% of the 125,000 collection and 0.5%. So that disparity has caused a lot of confusion because this is a deflationary collection. So over time, although wood frames are distributed at 15%, already they are no longer the most common frame because so many of them were burned for VCon tickets in the previous weeks. So now I believe clear. What's after wood? Either whatever it is, I think it's silver actually, is now the most common frame, even though it didn't start that way. So you can anticipate that people who own champagne frames and neons and pearls, these high rarity frames, are going to be less likely to burn them for opportunities because they're more valuable, they're more scarce. And yet over time, we'll see this equalization of the frame rarity. And so I describe all that because should you have a common frame or a rare frame, a combination that is aesthetic or not, in the projection of forever, eventually that combination will come around. And although you might not have the requirements to burn to claim that access or that asset, someone else may find value in whatever Gary Vee is offering, and that creates the supply and demand that can allow for holders to win. The simplest way to play book games is to simply hold, accumulate in whatever your capacity is, and simply hold and let the deflationary economics work in your favor over time. Gary Vee even said, I am the Robin Hood of frames. If ever there is a frame that is unloved, I might just go and steal from the rich, which is to suggest that if a certain frame rarity is not indexing properly in the market based on its rarity, or it's unloved in some way or another, it's not receiving demand, then he may create an opportunity to burn that frame and therefore drive demand for people who have the bags to purchase and put a really remarkable opportunity on the table that would be like a no-brainer. I think, another thing, I know I'm on a little bit of a rant, but another thing that goes on in book games and that you should know if you're going to play is that Gary has this notion to destroy all paper hands. Being the competitive person that he is, I truly think Gary Vee wants
anyone who sells any VeeFriend asset to regret it in 5 years. Like, I think in a playful way, like he's happy when people win or making these profits or whatever else, but he really does want to destroy these paper hands and make people regret that they didn't believe for the long term. And it can be construed that these burn opportunities are paper handing. You're letting go of this asset that is forever. But you have to remember the other Gary Vee philosophy and pillar, which is what's in it for them. The 51-49 distribution of any relationship. He's constantly saying, if I can give at least 51% to the other person, then I'll know what to do with my 49. And so I truly believe he was doing that with the VCon burn sale, for example. Maybe the pearls, there was a moment where you could burn 5 wood frames, which was like a little over 2 ETH for a VCon ticket. And that worked out really well because they were trading at 3.5 ETH, up to 4.5 ETH. Then he, at the end of the burn sale, I think it was like 7 pearl frames. It was just ridiculous. I don't even know who burned for that. But turns out that valuation was pretty equal to the peak that we've seen of VCon tickets so far. And the art has yet to be revealed, and there's still more time to come before the utility expires. So all of that to say, good luck. Nobody gets it. I don't get it either.
Wow. It's way more complex than we can imagine. But it's cool, right? Like the more conversations we have, the better it is. And like talking about conversations, you guys are literally like, you talk about this like on daily basis. So I met Davey, I think because he was doing a clubhouse session, I think, and he does it every day if I'm not wrong. So like that's where I met, and I'm like, hey, would you like to do Twitter Spaces? And now we are here, right? Like, so I love how you guys are nerding out on these in like Gary Vee ecosystem, and like just that's also a very big area. If someone wants to start in NFTs, you can just enter one ecosystem and like try to be something there, right? Like as we're still early. Very cool, very cool. So what's happening like very like within few days or something, like is there like, can you burn some book game tokens to claim a character, or can we still claim any tickets, or like what is the 5 frame burn 5 frame thingy which has happened, right? Like, so what is all that we missed out, or like is going to happen so others don't miss out, Davey?
Yeah, so in the short term, the first thing that we're looking at with book games right now is a friends list snapshot. So each book games token you hold during the snapshot, which is taking place April 5th, is a 28% chance of getting on the friends list, which is an allow list that lets you mint Series 2 at $1,000 USD in ETH 12 and a half days prior to the public mint. So you can do the probability and the odds, but each 5 frames has a roughly 80% chance of getting one allow list spot, with each token serving as a 26 to 28% chance. And so if you're looking to mint Series 2, stockpiling book games tokens is looking like a really good idea, because it's anticipated that the public mint will sell out, fast, probably close to instantly. And so that's kind of the first thing we're looking at. Now, after that snapshot takes place, you're more than welcome to sell your book games tokens or do what you may with them. And because your friends list spots will be locked in after that snapshot, whether it be 0 or 1 or however many you get. After that friends list snapshot takes place, in the following days, and I don't believe we know a specific time yet or not, but you will be able to burn book games tokens in exchange for the new Series 2 characters. There's a handful of new characters, and you're going to be able to burn book games tokens for them. Now, this is where it starts to get more muddy, because we don't know the specifics on what tokens will be required to burn. Unlike the friends list snapshot, there's going to be specific combinations or frames or rarities or whatever it may be. You'll need specific tokens to burn for the new characters. And so this is where book games get tricky, right? As there's not like a set of rules. There's not a PDF somewhere where you can go look at the rules and figure out what's going on. Gary V, the game master, is just sort of pulling the puppet strings somewhere, and we're kind of all at his beck and call. And so right now what we know is that frames matter, and that you'll likely need sets of 5 of the same frame type to burn for the new characters. We've already ruled some of them out, like wood frames won't be in the new character burn. Yeah, that's a good stopping point. It starts to get more complex from there, but what we do know is 5 frames are needed to burn for the new characters.
Awesome.
So just to quickly recap, like the timeline of things. So it's March 30th, and there's about a week until the snapshot. And like Davey said, if you're holding through 12 p.m. Eastern time on April 5th until 1 p.m., then you no longer need to hold your book games. You'll be able to go to VeeFriends.com and see how many mint spots you got. And for every friends list spot you get, you can mint a series 2, and it'll be a random character. And actually all of the series 2 NFTs are 1-of-1s, which will be interesting to see play out. Then we get into mystery territory, where is it the next day that the pre-sale starts? Is it a few days? Is it a week? We don't know, but sometime in April, shortly after the snapshot. Then there will be 12 and a half days where those 32,000 spots reserved for book game holders can mint for $1,000 at their leisure. And they will all be in the pre-reveal phase. So whatever the image looks like, there will be trading for 2 weeks on Series 2. So if you didn't get a friends list spot, you can buy from the secondary market on OpenSea, because it's a Layer 1 collection. Book Games is Layer 2 on Immutable X, but Series 2 is Layer 1. Then, although this hasn't been confirmed in the blog post, based on the AMAs in the Discord with the staff, the burn opportunity to burn some number of book game tokens for new characters, which is the only way to mint these new 15 characters, will happen concurrent with the public sale, which will immediately follow the 12 and a half day pre-sale. And there could be a situation where it acts as a bit of a bridge, where maybe that's when Series 1 get to claim their evolving pose, for example. Series 1 holders get a free Series 2 for the cost of gas. But I'm actually inclined to think that Series 1 might get to mint first. I just don't know. Not confirmed. But what I wanted to point out is that the burn opportunity will be concurrent with the end of the pre-sale and the public sale. And I pinned up an image up here with really just a shot in the dark, but sort of like what to me feels like a logical distribution of which frames could be correlated to which characters. There's like a couple things to call out. So number one, the only things that are actually confirmed are things with check marks. So we have 5 confirmed names and 1 confirmed frame, which is Fur for the Fearless Fairy. Now, that hasn't been confirmed since it was first called out by Gary over a month ago, so it's a soft confirmation. But I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that 5 is the number, and that although they've said they're adjusting the requirements, that if you're interested in the new character burn, you don't have to do it by the April 5th snapshot, but you should be thinking about sets of 5 frames. I actually came across a comment last night that I forgot about, which was that if you have multiple sets of 5, you will be able to mint multiple new characters. So whether you have 15 fur frames and you want to mint 3 fairies, or you have 3 varieties of sets of 5, I think you might even be able to do them all in one transaction. That I'm not sure about, but it's not going to be a 1 mint per transaction limit within each character. And I really think it's going to come down to sets of 5. And I think for the most part, it will just be 5 frames. And then each of those 15 characters will have separate burn rarity requirements for their spectacular iteration. So spectacular is the highest level of rarity in VeeFriends. They're all one of ones within Series 1. They're also one of ones within Series 2. The one of ones within Series 2 are free claim for the Series 1 holders. But as there are no Series 1 holders of these new characters, they're available through this burn opportunity. So all of these characters you see in this image will have 5, possibly 6 one of ones that have specific requirements. And I think we could see a situation here where the frame matters and the spectacular matters, where you need 25 of matching frames, but they also have to all be diamond background if you're claiming the diamond. And if you're claiming the gold, they all have to be gold. If you're claiming the hollow, they all have to be hollow, for example. That's a shot in the dark, hasn't really been confirmed, but it just seems to make sense to me. And I guess I'm also just like reiterating the point that in the last week, even in the last 3 days, I've become much more confident in the 5 frame requirement. It's just to be seen what elements of fairness they try to integrate, either by adding rarity requirements, that means more people, that means less people have the requisite frames, or doing some kind of Dutch auction style where it starts at 15 frames and then moves down to 5, or who knows. But I do feel like sets of 5, increments of 5 is the way to go if you're looking at new character burns.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Jeremy. And guys, I know a bunch of you were requesting and wanted to ask questions. Feel free to do that. Request will get you on. And before we do that, I have a request for all of you. We have a lot of we have a lot of listeners. 76 people are live. Just want to thank everyone for sharing, and Jeremy also, thank you for posting it in the VeeFriends Discord. Guys, but if you're learning something, enjoying something, even if you're getting confused, that's fine. Let people know that we are doing these Twitter Spaces Web3 with Dhee and talking about book games and VeeFriends version 2. Tag Davey, tag me, tag Jeremy, and let your friends know. And if you have any questions, please request. And if not, that's fine. I can keep asking questions, not an issue. So
Yeah, I was going to say the same. Please, if you're confused, request up so we can at least try to change that.
Yep. Just gonna. Awesome. So, Davey, Jeremy, maybe Davey, you take this first. I want to know, right? How many book games tokens are you guys holding? If you're comfortable sharing, if not, that's okay. How many VeeFriends are you holding, and what's your strategy? How are you going about what's coming in the near future? Not maybe long term, but near future. Davey.
Sure. I'm pretty light on book games right now. I have a set of 5 matching frames that I'm prepared to burn for new characters. I'm hoping that'll get me one friends list spot, and I also hold a Series 1, so that guarantees me a free Series 2 mint. I'm hoping I'm well positioned to get what I can out of the mints and the burns, and then my kind of macro strategy is lies in secondary, and so I think with the friends list snapshot and the burns and mints and all that stuff, we're going to see a lot of volatility in these 3 collections, being Series 1 book games and Series 2, and so we're going to see spikes up and down, and my kind of play is to capitalize on those spikes, and then my real play is to just be around for VCon and to be immersed in the community of holders, and continue to make friends with all the good folks holding VeeFriends.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. What about you, Davey? What about you, Jeremy?
Hi, my name's Davey, and I'm a little light on book games right now, but I'm looking to participate in secondary market. I'm just kidding.
Oh my,
I have.
dude, I was so.
I told you I was a clown. Sip of the coffee. I have 2.7 VeeFriends actually. I minted a Heart Trooper core, and then I later bought a Harpic. But at the auction, I helped a friend buy a gift goat, and I also share in a core Perceptive Puma, which we originally bought to cover our mutual 4 ETH of investment, but then things got wild, and we're like, well, VCon's coming and long-term capital gains, and yeah, we're holding on to it, and that turned out to be pretty good so far. With book games, I got 15 on the drop, and I went very heavy on day one, and I now have, I think at the most I had 55, and then I burned for VCon and sold a few. I sold 7. I'm sharing this. I know some people in the room know, but just it'll illustrate my strategy. I sold 7 book game tokens last week, black and clear frames, and purchased 2. So took a little liquidity and got a pearl frame and a conviction. But the convictions are about 2.5 times the floor, so I needed to consolidate a bit. And now I have, I think with those I have 47 or maybe 48 book game tokens. And as for my strategy, I'm intending to sell some up to 10 tokens before the snapshot to provide liquidity for minting whatever series 2 I get, and then hope that with the 38 to 42 book game tokens that I hold through the snapshot to get 10 series 2 mint spots and mint them all. And then this is probably foolish in the short term, but my intention, unless the floor pre-reveal gets to 4 to 5 ETH, my intention is to hold them through the reveal and see how the chips fall.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, I actually have no strategy, so that's why I'm doing this Twitter Spaces. I have 5 book game tokens, which are quite random. Maybe 3 silver I might have, and a caviar and a rainbow frame. I will.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll probably purchase some like maybe in a day or two. I have one a VeeFriend which I've pinned. It's a Jolly Jacko core one, not this one. This is old tweet. I just wanted to show visual this thing, so I'm excited for my free drop, and also trying to get as many allow list I can. I think just holding being able to hold multiple VF2s will be a good decision. Again, I will have to think about this and do this. Like, I've not thought much about it, but this is where I'm at, and a lot of people might be just starting out, so they could just learn from what all of us are doing. So yeah, and I'll take Mr. B Coin Junior's question, who has an empathy elephant as a DP, which is coming in version 2, if I'm not wrong.
Hey, thank you. So I just had a question in regards to the strategy and maybe a little bit more expansion on if you had choice A or B come friend list time. Say that you have about 15 frames in book games and the friend list is revealed and it turns out that you may get, probability-wise 3, but if you get more, say 5, would you, and assuming that you have 3 sets of 5 frames that are in the list that we suspect being able to burn for a new VF2, would you be on the side of selling 1 or 2 book games to capitalize on the additional couple spots that you may not have liquidity for right now? Or would you probably just hold out and try to mint or burn, that additional new VF2 character, assuming that it's going to be 5 frames? I'm kind of looking for your input and thoughts on that scenario, because that's kind of what I'm contemplating. If I get more spots than what I can, is it worth me selling a book game, losing out on one frame, but securing 2 additional friends lists? So I'd like to know your thoughts, Jeremy.
Yeah, I got cut off just towards the end. So the question is, you have 15 frames, 3 sets of 5. Ideally, you get 5 spots, and you would need to sell some tokens from one of your sets to get the liquidity to mint your 5. And so guaranteeing that random mint and sacrificing one new character. Is that the question?
Yep. And still having 2 sets of 5 for
do that
as well.
Do that.
Because I think I'm leaning, obviously it's all up in the air, right? We're playing theoretical, but I think I'm more interested to see what the reveal and what the floor does for friends lists, since we have almost a 2-week period, not quite, where people might have them. Maybe people spurt, in this scenario, sell a book game to capitalize on another spot, look for that quick flip. But that's kind of what I'm leaning towards as well. So reassurance sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing one of Gary's things is always like zig when others are zagging. Like when all the attention is on book games, it was a good time to buy Series 1 if you could do it. Similarly here, most people are afraid of the public mint because of the gas cost, right? And it might be bad. There might be bots. We don't know. But pre-reveal and post-reveal, there will be plenty of people looking for their short profit. And there's definitely an opportunity. Like, we won't know until after the fact if you were actually better off taking the liquidity from 15 book game tokens before the snapshot, which is going to be like close to 6 ETH, I think, and just buying on the secondary, because we don't know what the secondary price is. But I think people who are finding themselves without book game tokens, and they're like, I don't know that I can spend $1,200 for a raffle ticket, because that's what they're interested in terms of book games right now, may end up winning just by saving that liquidity to participate in secondary, which is partly what Davey is doing. So I'm not suggesting you overthink what I said you should do, not financial advice, but I'm just putting it out there that a lot of people are expecting VeeFriends 2 to run, and it may or may not run as quickly or as high as people want it to. And the reason I brought that up is also for the new characters. I don't know why the new characters will maintain their cost base. And so you might find a situation where you can mint 2 pre-sale and then see a 3 to 5x multiplier, but the new characters have only done a 2x multiplier and trade those 2 for the 1, perhaps.
Yep. And that makes sense. And that's kind of what my thoughts are up to this point. I think, at floor right now, the minimum that you're spending for a new character is going to be around 2. But that's assuming that it's going to be, I think wood, and then
and wood is out, and that's assuming that you get it. That's assuming that you get it. So in this situation, I would totally take a sure thing in a Series 2 rather than risk that maybe I don't get to mint any of the frames, burn any of the frames I have ready to burn.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely agree.
There, Mr. B, is if you're a gambling type person on the open mint, you do have a chance to mint a top tier character like a black cat or an elephant or something like that. And so that's another thing to consider, is you're putting your name in the hat for a lucky mint.
Yep. Yeah, I think fingers crossed that I can spread my bets across the table so that I kind of come out with a little bit more spread across multiple projects is my hope. But we'll see. So thank you.
Thank you for your question, Bud. Andre has been here for a very long time. Just want to say hi. And what's your question, Andre?
What's going on, man?
I don't actually have a question. I just like to listen in to any space that Jeremy is a part of and meet new people involved. So just hanging out.
Awesome. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for listening. I know you've been here since the time we started.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here and appreciate you guys spending the time as well.
Awesome. We have we have 100 plus people here. Guys, what would be pretty awesome if you can share this Twitter Spaces, tag Jeremy, tag Davey, tag me, and tell people this Spaces is fun. These guys are pretty smart. Or you can just say I'm a good host or whatever. It's up to you, right? Like if you're learning something, please share with your friends and let them know. We have a couple more people. We have sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but you can correct me. Enoch. Would you like to take the next question? And guys, if you have questions, please raise your hands so I know whom to ask for next.
I love it. You actually did a pretty solid job pronouncing my name. My name's Enoch.
Awesome, not bad.
Yeah. Good to be here, guys. Thanks for hosting this space. It's been awesome. Listening for the past 3 minutes or so that I've been able to join. I guess my question is probably what are thoughts on floor price in terms of book games post? Because I feel as though I was hearing Jeremy's game plan. I feel as though it could drop post friends list, but then again, depending on I guess what's most popular in terms of people wanting to burn, some frames might go up in value. But yeah, I guess I was just kind of trying to I guess see other people's thoughts around the floor price, because for me, I had 6 and then I liquidated 5 of them to get into WoW G. So I got 2 WoW Gs, and in my head I was I'll try and flip 1 WoW G and get some liquid back for book games, and try and get 5 of the same frames, because I only had I think 3 of the same frame before. But I love the alpha that was pinned in this space with what everyone's kind of guessing what it is. That's super helpful. But yeah, I was wondering what everyone's I guess thoughts were in terms of that. It's always a really tricky game trying to figure out, because obviously Gary is such a game master and you don't really fully know the whole thing until you know, obviously you know. So yeah.
Yeah, so acknowledging that all of these are unknowns, I'm just going to go out and suggest that the floor price post snapshot over the course of 4 days is going to be 0.27. I think there's going to be some psychological support at quarter of an ETH, which will be a 2x for people that minted, that have been hanging on and that are interested in forever and might be oh, I should have sold. I'm going to list a few of these. And I think there's going to be plenty of buying pressure from people who are interested in book games but are concerned about the price right now, but want to be in VeeFriends long term. I think there's a chance that for a moment we lose the entire move from Gary's hype day back down to 0.2. And the big variable is how much of the floor sustaining at 0.2 was strictly because people were holding for the friends list snapshot, and is the fair value of book games closer to 0.15. But I feel pretty confident that 0.2 to 0.25 is going to be some support, and then we'll level out just a little.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, thank you for asking that question, buddy. And I'll just take one question, which was someone asked me in the comments, and then we can move on to Howard, if that's okay. So, there's this question by Sun. Sun asked if they hold Patience Lava as one of the frames in their set, should they get an additional floor frame in the set to save the patient lava in case patient lava doesn't get to burn first?
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. It's another 26% chance to get on the friends list if you're buying prior to 6 days from now, and if it's ends up being that it's not required of you to burn that patient's lava, then you're positioned quite well. I don't think that's a bad play.
Awesome. So hope you're hearing, buddy, and like you get your answer to the question. We'll take more written questions later. We'll go with Howard first.
Hey, Dhee, thanks for having the space, and appreciate listening to.
Just 1 second. I just want to say hi. Sorry about that, Howard. Just want to say hi to Zaffy. And Zaffy, if you want to answer any questions, you can, right? Like, so that's also a thing.
I greatly appreciate that, Dhee. Hi, Jeremy. And also just want to give a really quick shout out to Ross, because I got involved in the patient lava movement early on with that and did fairly well with it. I was able to give him one last night after some hiccups. So I'm hoping everybody is doing well today. I'm a big fan of it. I'm just wondering how much it's going to play a part in wallets that own under the 220 threshold for the burning of the new tokens, the new series. Tokens of the 15 new ones that are coming out. So I'm curious as to what people's thoughts are on that, and whether or not this burning first movement is necessary on the higher end of the token chains in terms of rarity, because it is probably, if you have gold, you got marble, you got clear, right? But I'm not so sure that's true for the top. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, so starting at rainbow frames, there does not exist 220 patient lavas with that frame. I think rainbow has like 189 patient lava rainbow frame. So there's your answer.
Yeah.
I do think patient and the unique wallet metric is a little misleading, because the chances are that not all of those people are interested in burning, and it doesn't account for how many wallets have 10, 20, 50, 100 of these matching frames. And we know that you'll be able to mint multiple. So if you have, assuming it's 5, which I feel confident it is, and you have 25 matching frames, you can mint 5 all at once.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I have 10 of those rainbow. I have 2 of the patient lavas now left. So I think I'm pretty square on the rainbow side. I was always wondering how that was going to play out for the lower end tiers, though. So it's definitely interesting to have this conversation.
Awesome.
Yeah, I lucked out and I minted a patient lava rainbow. And then when that came out, I sold my other patient lava, and I was like, I'm going to build a rainbow set. And I just realized yesterday, thanks to Book Games Info, that if that's the advantage, it's not necessary there. So I'm wondering about making a move as well.
Yeah, thank you to Tim F. I know he's in the audience here somewhere for everything he does. It's made our ability to actually go filter through this data a lot simpler.
Awesome. Howard, sorry, here we go with your question.
Yes, thank you. I find it incredibly fun and interesting to listen to all the different angles of people saying, hey, I have this and I have that. It's so the variety is all over the place, and I love to hear the responses. I hadn't ever really heard a lot of talk about this until a few speakers ago, and that is in regards to the people that have just a few. And so, for instance, I have 2. And I have been thinking a lot that there's been a lot of attention given to these 15 special characters, and I'm just wondering if maybe my play instead should be to sell my 2 into the pump before the snapshot, and then I don't know if you could even say take my chances, but I think it could be a good play to go to public and buy on secondhand before the reveal, because I believe that in similar ways to like World of Women, the Galaxy, the supply is so great. Even though there's really good volume, it's not really climbing because of the supply. And I'm just wondering if there might be an opportunity to, get a kind of similar to, getting a number pre-revealed slots that way by going into that time frame instead of trying to get my bullets, instead of trying to get my slots by buying more book tokens before the snapshot. What does anybody feel about that?
I feel like maybe yes, maybe no. Like, I feel your question is, how much will the VeeFriends Series 2 floor be pre-reveal and post-reveal? And you're just taking the risk either way, because of your number of book game tokens, you don't have a sure thing. And I think the thing that might dissuade me from selling for liquidity and just buying whatever I can, potentially adding liquidity to trade those 2 book game tokens for a Series 2, would be the taxes. And I know that it's not fun to talk about, but depending on where you bought your book game tokens, if you minted your book game tokens, the cost base for your book games is 0. So selling them in the short-term capital gains period, assuming you're in the United States, you're looking at a 32% cap. So that bill comes due eventually, right? It's not going to come due for a year from now, but it does come due. And so I would caution people to be to not keep that on their radar as they're making moves.
Yep, that's a very good point. And maybe you can speak to something I haven't heard for in a while. What was the hint? One of the ones that I purchased right away for like 0.2 was the pie bakes best in a silver pan. Is that, do you believe, have a play in the 5? Where does that hint come in? Because one of them that I hold is that, and the other one is like a galaxy frame. But is that hint been clear as to something that may be needed in groups of the 5?
Can you say the hint again? I missed it.
The hint really early on was about humility bakes best in a silver pan. The humility.
I don't think that has anything to do. Yep, I don't think that has anything to do with this game. I think that's a long-term poetical interpretation that may or may not have been planned, but that Gary saw in that iteration. And I think it comes up where you need 10 pies to go eat at Cheesecake Factory with Gary Vee and Oprah in 2027.
I see. 10-4. Okay. All right. I'll keep listening. Thanks so much, you guys. Nice space.
Awesome. Thank you for the question and the answer. Who's next? Your nose. Who's next? It's your nose.
What's going on? My question is for Jeremy. He mentioned something earlier about Gary said zig when others zag, or vice versa, whatever it was. Do you think now, and this is a curveball because I know it's about book games that this space is about, but do you think now would be the best time to try to snipe a fly fish, since Gary's so focused on book games and VeeFriends?
Oh, I love this question. Yeah, I don't know where the fly fish floor is at. I think it's around like 3 to 4.
That sounds about right.
Look, I mean, maybe, but Flyfish doesn't give you exposure to VeeFriends. So, like, if you're looking for appreciation in Ethereum value, that might be a good bet. But I don't see Flyfish making a move until November, December of this year. And so, if you have 4 Ethereum, I feel like you'd be better off grabbing 2 or 3 Series 2 on the secondary market and trading 2 of them and flipping that into a fly fish and then having your 1 Series 2.
That's a great strategy, man. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice. I love how, everyone has different questions because everyone has different bags, and the plays can be unlimited, right? Like, there's no right answer, but the perspectives are important. So yeah, thank you for asking that question, and we'll go with Kevin next. And if you have questions, feel free to request. And yeah.
Thanks, guys. My goal is to get a VF1, and I've got 18 book game tokens. I got 5 clear frames, 5 empathy trinkets, with one of the frames, including a neon. So I'm figured I'm going to hodl that stack, right, the 5 empathies, and then potentially burn the clears for new VeeFriend 2. And then the remainder book games I have, I was thinking selling those just for cash and then just play it that way and try to get to a VF1. I wanted to get your thoughts.
Do it. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a gap to fill. I would probably encourage you to think about two things. Number one, VeeFriends doesn't go up forever. You have a long time to get a VeeFriend if you're willing to be patient. But in the short term, your window to get a VeeFriend is probably best after VCon. Now, there's a chance that VCon is the Super Bowl of NFTs, and it causes a short-term hype to get them, knowing that they are the only way to get to the next VCon. But I think there's also there's a higher probability that people have a great fucking time at VCon, and they're looking at long-term capital gains, and they're taking profits, and they've got their value out of the token. So I think it is likely that we see a VeeFriends correction after VCon, and if you can stack or make some moves between now and then with whatever you can sell for book games and other whatever, Series 2, all the rest, then do it.
Dope, thank you. And then last thing I'd say too, Jeremy, is I know you wanted to upgrade some of the camera work and do admin or hire an admin. More than willing to help donate. And if you turn on like your lightning tips or anything on Twitter, I think I've got a list of people ready to do that as well.
Amazing. Turn on what on Twitter?
There's a tipping function in Twitter where we could send you some Bitcoin or whatever it may be.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have Venmo and Ethereum, but I could totally add Bitcoin. I actually don't have a Bitcoin receiving address that's not non-custodial, so I wasn't sure how to set that up, but maybe you and I can connect on that.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you for asking that question, Kevin. So we have bookgamesinfo.eth. Love the name. I'm glad you sniped that. What's your question?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So my question specifically lies during that 1 hour window for the friends list snapshot, right? So we've got noon. They posted that it's going to be at noon. At 1, they're going to announce it. But do we know if during that 1 hour period, it's going to be a staggered, they're going to take that full hour to draw, or are they going to take the snapshot, basically run whatever version of random number generator to pick the token IDs and then be done? And the reason why I'm asking this is because herein lies an opportunity. If they take a snapshot at noon, okay, and it's done, let's say at 12:05, 12:10, etc., there becomes a 40 to 50 minute window where people, are going to be able to sell, for example, their wood frames if they think these are not going to be part of the burns, versus waiting longer and having that go under. So do we know, have they published the snapshot happens at noon, we're going to wait till everything settles, announce at 1, or is that whole window like you have to hold up until 1 p.m.? Do we know that?
We don't know for certain. I would caution people to be too clever in that window. Hypothetically, this random number generator should be relatively instantaneous. It doesn't take, as you know, it doesn't take very long for a script to run through 125,000 data points. But for all we know, for now, they could run it at 1240. And I don't know if once we get the results, it'll say out of 10 tokens, you got 3 spots, or if it will just say you got 3 spots. So that's definitely something to ask the team. And I think they'll be happy to give us a confirmation that, and I can actually expect this happening, that on the day, there's announcements, hey, you've got a couple hours left to get in on the snapshot. And then once the snapshot is taken, the snapshot has been taken, the friends list checker will be live in 30 minutes at 1 o'clock or whatever. So I think it's fine for us to ask for that, but we haven't gotten confirmation yet. And I would caution people to get too clever and miss out.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. Well, I will be waiting to hear an answer.
Awesome. Thank you for the question and answer, Jeremy. We have Nico here. Hi, Nico. How are you doing? What's your question?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. What's up, everyone? See a lot of familiar faces in here. Jeremy, I popped in when you were talking about the possibility of a correction after VCon, and I was curious. I was talking to my parents the other day about the trajectory of VeeFriends and was thinking that it could also be possible that with so much attention in the NFT community coming on to VeeFriends, since like every big NFT related influencer is going to be at VCon, suddenly everyone that is not exposed and all the whales that have kind of sat on the sidelines might decide to jump in there, considering that a lot of whales are also going to be the speakers themselves who might be influenced by Gary and feel the FOMO. So I was just wondering what you guys also thought about, like, the idea of, getting in now and potentially in anticipation of a massive pump coming from all the exposure that will come from VCon versus sitting in ETH, because I'm kind of in a situation where I could either kind of jump in majorly now or sit on the sidelines and wait for a correction, but I don't know if it come anytime soon, and I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And, waiting for a correction has in many situations been a mistake and in many been like a big win. I tend to think that the market comes back. We retest liquidity zones. We did that under 10. We did that at 10. Now we're doing that at 14. We're sort of on a slow decline right now. And we're seeing what was previously priced in the value of VCon tickets no longer be represented in Series 1 tokens. So the situation you described with people with big bags and influencers at VCon getting excited and jumping in, I think is fully possible. The bigger variable to me is the valuation of ETH. I'm personally bullish on ETH right now. I think we don't talk a lot about the fact that like 3,200 was a significant zone that we sort of moved through relatively quickly, and we might go back to retest. But I not financial advice. I think 4,200 is in the cards over the next 10 days. And it just depends on a lot of factors. If that happens, I expect the NFT market to take a requisite correction of, call it half of that move down, as most people still price their things in USD. And if that trend continues and ETH can break 5K, then there will be an Ethereum correction in the VeeFriends market, no matter how many whales jump in, unless I'm underestimating VCon and all of the variables that come with it, which I could be. So I feel like ETH is a big variable here. And further, again, I come back to the long-term capital gains. There's only ever been like some 20 to 30% of VeeFriend tokens that circulate and trade. Most people are hodling, and most people are aware that they pay an extra 15 to 20% in taxes if they sell before whenever they minted in May. So I know that people will be taking profits at that time. I just don't know how far it will move the floor.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of an interesting time right now. I feel sort of, I guess, still very concentrated risk because I'm just entirely in ETH and one core VeeFriend. It is tempting with the free evolving Series 2 to kind of, with the mind of a trader, go in, pick up another VeeFriend Series 1, get the free Series 2, and maybe flip, the Series 2s and one of the Series 1s again or something like that as a quick arbitrage.
We can't hear you, Nico.
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Yep, we lost you, Nico. Anyway, guys, just reiterating that, like, if you're enjoying these spaces, if you're liking what Jeremy and Davey are saying, go follow them and retweet this Twitter Spaces and let your friends know. And Again, I'll take a question from the thread. Someone is asking, what do you think will again, this is a very speculative question, but I'd like to hear your opinion. What would be the floor for VF Core 2 be? And that's one part of it. And the other part of that question is, 1 second, let me just bring it up. Yeah, so it's what do you say? VF2 core and VF2 new character. What's the speculation?
I can hop in. Well, first of all, there's the rarities are changing in Series 2 a little bit. There's only 2 types of rarities now, and those 2 types of rarities are specs and then all the other tokens. I don't have a good articulation on specific guesses on floor prices of those rarities, but what I do know is that in VeeFriends land, character is everything, and so we'll see quite a bit of range from top tier characters to not as well known characters, and that's kind of my simple answer to that without getting into specifics of a number.
Interesting. And what are these spectacular frames you talking about, Davey?
Yeah, so they're not actually frames. So in Series 1, there's a spectacular rarity, which are 1 of 1s. And so each character has 5 different specs. There's bubblegum, diamond, hollow, lava, and is there only 4? Help me out.
Diamond,
There's
gold?
5. Gold. You're missing gold.
Gold is the perfect. So there's 5 spectacular types of each character, and they're all 1 of 1s. And so in Series 2, the free mint that Series 1 spec holders receive is their character in their spectacular finish. And so the only way to get a spectacular in V2 off mint is to own a spectacular character, setting aside that there is also a new spectacular variation coming out that we're assuming will be able to be burned for at a lengthy requirement of tokens.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, guys. Anyone Ashutosh, do you have any question?
Yeah, there was.
No.
Okay, Zafi, go for it.
Yeah, no, there was a question that I've had, and it's come up in the chats a little bit, as to whether or not the burning of to get a spectacular in the Series 215 new characters, whether access was going to be given to the general mint, or if it was just going to be for people who previously owned spectaculars, or people who are going to own V1s. And there's been a bunch of confusion because the alpha has been hinted at, but it hasn't actually been disclosed. Is there any other ideal understanding as to where that stands? Because I am still a bit confused on this, because people are telling me different things, and did I remember it properly? That's what my question here is. So if anybody has any idea as to what the actual going theory on this is, I am open to hearing it.
That's a great point, Safi. Yeah, I guess I did misspeak a little. I'm assuming that it will be burned, but to the best of my understanding, we don't know that. It could be just available in the open mint. I think what we have to go off of is a comment from Gary in the Discord, which said something to the effect of, the only way. Well, I don't want to say that. I don't know what that exact comment was.
Yeah,
Jeremy?
See, that's what I'm saying. Wishy-washy on it. I don't remember it exactly either. Jeremy, any ideas?
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm a little choppy.
Nope.
Hearing you guys.
Can hear you fine now.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay. So I missed some of the question, but talking about the new specs, there's a few things we know. The specs for the new characters are going to be an extraordinary burn requirement. Each of the new 15 characters will for sure have the 5, the gold, the lava, diamond, hollow, bubblegum. The mystery is the 6th spectacular, which my best guess is going to be gunmetal, based on a shush from Gary. And I asked in an AMA if
if those characters for the existing 235, the 6 spec would be a lucky mint. Like essentially, like you get lucky in a mint. You get a 1 of 1, right?
Right.
And Dave and Daniel said that's a really good question, but that would be alpha, and we can't tell you just yet. But you're on to something, and that's a really good question, which makes me wonder if all of the 6 specs for the 235 and the 15 are lucky 1 of 1 mints, just distributed throughout the pre-sale and the public sale, and only the existing specs for the new characters will require a burn.
Oh, I hope. I like the distribution thought process because it's the community that gets a benefit if they do it that way. I've never liked the caste system of tiering based upon economic and financial ability. I really do love the fact that VeeFriends gave people who did not have a lot of resources, especially at the very beginning, an ability to get up from that. And I get, in some ways, I'm one of those people. You know, I'm lucky enough that I was able to mint a bubblegum calm clam and a very rare compassionate catfish, and ultimately bought into this process. I really love the fact that hopefully people who don't really have a lot of resources get the ability to mint a Series 2 or mint a few Series 2, so that this ecosystem continues to rise, because as the tide rises, it lifts us all, especially in our networks, especially in our financial abilities to handle things. I think that's the reason I'm a part of this, is because ultimately I want to be networked with people who not only start and work hard, but also get opportunity to show, what they're made of. And I think that this process is allowing us to do that. So I really hope it's that way, that the distribution works that way.
Awesome. I have an open question to everyone, like, whoever is speaker, they can answer. How many of you are going to VeeCon?
I am.
The day they announced where it was, I got the hotel room and the plane ticket. Yeah, I'm going.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I bought my tickets and plane and hotel the day that the announcements came out. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to meeting a lot of people here.
Yeah. So I did get a Hilton reservation, like, when they announced it, but like I'm not getting a visa. So like it's quite sad. I won't be able to come this year. Maybe next year. I guess hopefully like the visa requirements are lifted. So that's that. And I have a question for Jeremy. You are founder of something called the VeeDAO, right? Like, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. The VeeDAO is really a project centered around the same ethos that Zappy just described. It's a 10,000 token collection in which the artwork is a bit derivative of the VeeFriends collection, sort of invented and inspired by. And each token gives you a vote to govern our community wallet, which is comprised of 80% of our mint and 75% of our royalties, which is set at 10%. So we provide a safe place with the culture of VeeFriends for people to learn about NFTs, educate themselves, interact with successful projects. We do a lot of AMAs with sort of thought leaders and people making moves in the space. And we do our best to also provide the alpha, as it were. I think many of our members have been able to recoup their costs just simply by following the alpha calls. And that's basically the VeeDAO.
What is your actual website so that it's not counterfeitable?
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would search VeeDAO ETH for our Twitter handle, and yeah, that'll get you to our Discord where we have our official links channel. But it is VeeDAO, VeeDAO.io. And thank you for asking that, Zappy, for another reason, which is there was a scam that went around last week called VeeDAO. It was v-dao.io or something. And they airdropped an ERC20 into VeeFriends wallets, and it will compromise your wallet. So if you're looking on Etherscan and you see a VeeDAO token that did not come from us,
and don't interact with it. Don't do anything with it at all. Don't try to transact or send it out or anything. Or connect to the website that is associated with the token. Both are fraudulent scams. So for us, the legitimate VeeDAO is VeeDAO.io.
Awesome. I also just tagged I just pinned the VeeDAO.eth, the page. Like, you can go to that page and check it out as well, if you guys are interested. And Jeremy did give the website link. So I think we can close it in a minute or five. Care is here. And we'll take that question. Care, what's your question? Welcome, buddy. Hey, Care. You
I don't see Care on stage.
Oh,
you
you
Care Hardiman?
I do see him. What about others? Davey, do you see him? Ashu?
I see him.
Okay.
Okay.
Care, you're muted. Just letting you know. Okay. Never mind. All right. No issues. So, Davey, okay, I'll give this to Davey. Davey, is there anything we missed here today which you would like to say?
Yeah, well, no, not that we've missed it. I think Jeremy is, so articulate on all this stuff. He really laid it out well for us this morning. I would just, after all of that micro discussion, all the things we're talking about are taking place in the next 6 and change in the next couple of weeks. And, I think it is worth noting that VeeFriends is a 10-month-old project. Book Games is only a couple of months old, and all of this stuff is really focused on the long-term vision of building meaningful IP. And Jeremy said that right at the beginning and kind of quickly moved on. But I think it's something important to really emphasize to people that are in the project and thinking about getting in the project, that building meaningful IP takes a really long time. And all of these arbitrages and plays that we're looking at are, of course, in the short term. But rest assured that, this is a very long-term project. And so when you're working backwards and figuring out your strategies and goals, just be sure that you start from that place of 40 to 60 years and work your way backward to start to strategize and get a conviction on what play you want to make. And the other thing worth noting is Gary's really loud right now about VeeFriends, and he's on Twitter and he's in the Discord, and that's not always the case for this project. The Gary and his team, they're builders and they're entrepreneurs, and a lot of that takes place off of the Twitter timeline. And so there will be moments in the near future, most likely, that the Gary and team get quiet. And it's important to know that during those times, relationship building and networking and deals are being struck within VeeFriends, and that team works really, really hard. And don't get cold feet. Don't paper handle your VeeFriends during times of silence, because they're builders over there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Davey. Care, if you can hear us, just unmute yourself. If not, then we'll close this session. And okay. So Jeremy, any final closing words from you?
Yeah, a couple things to just throw out there. I feel like the word alpha is overused, but I think this actually is. So just regarding VeeFriends a little deeper, a couple things we missed. So if you want a preview into what meaningful IP means and looks like, I'll encourage you to go to search U.S. trademarks on Google and find the official trademarks database for the United States and search VeeFriends, and you'll find 4 trademarks that have been registered over the last 10 months that shine quite a light on where things are going. Some things we've seen, some things we haven't seen. In the short term, I anticipate that Series 2 is going to be heavily featured within a children's book and likely some kind of cartoon or animation storyline. We know that they were in discussions for a children's book, and that the accountable aunt is kind of the front runner for the star of that book. So we might see one thing we missed is we haven't talked about the series 2 surprise or rarity. So there's something that every purchase of a series 2 comes with, and we have no idea what it is. It might be connected to this children's book that is in development. It might be a vinyl toy. It might be some merch or some other thing. It's not going to be access utility, but there will be, I think, a physical complement. The other thing regarding Series 2 is all of these tokens are one of one, and the way that is structured is through 3 levels of rarity. You have the character, the pose that the character is presented in, and the setting in which they live. So if you're minting Series 2 and you're holding through the reveal, or you purchase on secondary and you're seeing your character, make sure to take a look if the setting that you have with your character feels complementary or might be a kind of home base for that character, because those aesthetic matches will over-index in the market. There will be a premium for the zombie in the graveyard and the elephant in the wine cellar, for example. And lastly, if you're buying a Series 1, I don't know if it's a good time to buy relative to the ETH valuation. So this is more geared towards somebody who's looking to participate in the VeeFriends ecosystem for the time after VCon, where things really start to pick up speed. If you're buying a Series 1 at these 15 ETH, 14 ETH levels, do your best to accumulate another 2 to 3 ETH to either get a character that you like more, or get the rare or very rare variety. So on the VeeFriends market for Series 1, the white background is out of 20. It's called the core. There are 20 varietals of it. There are 20 versions of it. The only difference is that they're numbered. The next level of rarity is rare, of which there are 8. So they're more than twice as scarce as the cores. And typically the price differential is 1 to 2 ETH or less sometimes between the same character. And very rare being out of 5, 4 times more rare than the core floor, is often just a premium of 2 to 4 ETH. So if you're looking to make a long-term purchase in VeeFriends, I would highly encourage you to exercise a little more patience, stack a little bit more liquidity, and go for something that, even though doesn't index at a requisite valuation relative to the scarcity, is an advantage long-term as a collectible. I think that's my piece.
Yep. Thank you for sharing that, Jeremy. That makes complete sense. Guys, before we close, I would just want to thank all the listeners, Safi, Andre, Book Games, Nico, Care, Enoch. Right, you guys have been here for a really long time. Also, non-speakers, Abiram, Danny, Burj, Jani, Rishik, Rohit, Howard, Ritz, Joseph, Tom, hey, I hope your call went well. Ross, Doc, E9 Art, Nathan, and all of you. I know a lot of you have been listening since the time we started, and I just want to thank all of you for coming here. My name is Dheeraj, and we do these Twitter spaces every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, where we get different guests to talk about different topics in the Web3 space. We generally talk about NFTs, DeFi, DAOs, and everything fun that's happening in the space. We also talk about investments and VCs and like what they're doing. And generally, like, if someone suggests like, hey, this is the topic we want to talk about, and like, that's what we do. We have amazing interviews lined up in coming days and weeks. We are talking about generative art. We are talking about projects like metaverse for good kind of projects. We're talking to someone from Axie Infinity, Shiny. All these are lined up in next month. So like, if you like listening to new things and learn new things, do follow me follow us, and this is what we do. And if you liked any conversation we had, if you learned even a little bit, do reshare and tell everyone that, like, we learned something from Davey, we learned something from Jeremy, we learned something from Dheeraj, to tag us. And yeah, I think bookgames.info has one last question. We'll do that, and then, like, we'll close the space. Yeah, Jeremy also. Yeah, go for it.
So you go, Wade. You go. I was just going to call attention to I just pinned. We have a Twitter community. It's like a curated feed. I'd love if anybody's not in there to join it. That's all. Go ahead, Wade.
Book Games. If you're speaking, we can't hear you. Book Games info. Oh, okay. He got drugged. All right, Jeremy. What did you want to say?
Oh, I just pinned a tweet up top, and it'll take you to a Twitter community that we have for VeeFriends. It's not the official community, of which there is one, and I can get you the link to that. But we're having some fun in here. It's just a curated feed. It's like it's just fun. It's just where I tweet some things that are only for people who are in that community. It's an open community. You just click through and join. So I'd love to see people there.
Awesome. Thank you. So just want to give a huge shout out to Davey, who took his time out and is here. Huge shout out to Jeremy as well, who again, like, slept late. I don't know if I should be saying that, but who's still here, like, in his morning, and, like, gave us a lot of information, a lot of strategies, a lot of clarity on, like, how we can explain this to people, or, like, people who are new to understand. So thank you for doing that, guys. And if you like their work, go follow Davey, who's a photographer and NFT collector, and Jeremy as well. He calls himself the first VeeFriends fan account, and, like, it's justified, right? Like, with the knowledge he has. He's also founder of VeeDAO.eth, so do follow that, and follow me. I post educational content about Web3, and I post a lot of memes and shit posts as well. And if you liked any of this, do subscribe to us, and share and let people know. Just want to thank Ashu as well, who helps me with doing all of this, so huge shout out. So yeah, that's it. Jeremy, Davey, if you want if you want anything, if you have to say anything, let us know. Otherwise, we'll close. Book Games, buddy. I won't take your question. But that's fine. Davey, any thoughts?
No, thanks for having me, and thanks for the carry, Jeremy. I'm glad you could make it. I think I would have been mostly high and dry on this one if you weren't here. And I'm making a tweet at 3 p.m. EST, which is less than 30 minutes from now. I'm super excited about, so come follow me and check it out.
Oh, speaking of 3 p.m. EST, you have until 3 p.m. EST to order your VeeFriends merch if you want it. There was multiple issues with the VeeFriends merch drop yesterday, and so as a solution, they've made a 24-hour window for a made to order for the VeeFriends merch, and it closes in 25 minutes. And other than that, I would just say I love you. I hope you have a good day.
Awesome. GM, GN, everyone, and bye. Thanks, Davey. Thanks, Jeremy. I'm just ending this.